pretty early here at the allotment and I'm just listening to all the sounds. Lots of birds, people commuting to work in the distance, and the sights are just so clear. It's just such a beautiful day. I can see the wind turbines out there in the sea. It's nice to be up here, and I haven't spent as much time at the allotment recently with all that's been going on with Louis and some other things, both exciting and, it's a bit of stress as well at the moment. But today I'm going to spend the entire morning here at the allotment and I've got plenty to do. I have already come up here and I've cleared my new half plot. So I spent a half a day, no cameras, just got down to it. But my main plot here, it needs some clearing. And I also noticed that we've got some wood chips in the car park. So I'm going to spread some of those on the pathways today too. So I hope you enjoy pottering around on my plot with me today. The first thing on my to-do list today is cutting down all of these raspberry canes, and also I'm going to take the supports out as well because I want to put in a much sturdier support over the winter, one that is going to withstand the wind a little bit more. These are autumn fruiting raspberries, and that means that they're a variety, well, there's 2 varieties in there at least. But these are types that need to be cut down every year, and then they sprout new canes in the spring, which they fruit on next year. You can leave a few of them and they will fruit some earlier fruits in summer next year, but it's so windy up here, I just don't bother with doing that. But I did notice that there are a few berries still clinging to these canes. Hardy little things, but they probably won't be very sweet. I've cut down all of the mature canes and I've left some of them up, the new ones, because they're a bit odd. Do you see all of these green leaves here? These are new raspberry canes starting to form, and this really shouldn't happen until spring, and it's nowhere near spring. We haven't even hit winter yet, so it's all very odd. I don't know what the plants are actually thinking. And then I've also noticed on some of the mature canes, buds that are about to break. So I don't know if you can see that here, but there's a bud on the side and it's starting to turn green, so it's starting to grow new leaves on the old canes. Anyway, raspberries, it's almost time to go to bed for winter, so calm down. While I've been working, I've noticed just how brittle the raspberry cane edging has become, and it's completely expected. It's been, I think, 3 years that it's been here, so that is a lot longer than I think I or a lot of other people would have thought that it would have lasted. So I'm going to leave it here for the winter just to kind of constrain anything that I put into the bed. But in the springtime, I'm going to build a new one, actually probably late winter. So all of these raspberry canes here that I've got bundled up, I'm going to set them aside, let the leaves die off of them over the winter, and this will be the next wattle edging. And it's been great because I'm on a light slope and it helps to keep everything in and out of my pathways. With that done, I'd like to show you what I've done over on the new half plot. So let's go have a look. I took on this half plot within, I think, the last couple of years, but I have not really used it to its fullest extent. And it's been a little bit of a mess, but as you can see now, it is much tidier. So what I've done is that I've put manure on the soil here, which I did use this year, and I've got it covered. And then this area over here, I've done something similar, but this patch actually has bindweed in it as well, so I've tried to remove as much of that as I can. I did spot some more roots, so it's definitely not eradicated by any means, so that's something that I'll be struggling with no doubt next year. But my idea for this is to create a pumpkin patch with this area next year, and then grow all of my potatoes over here, and then just keep an eye on that bindweed. But this black horticultural material will keep weeds down, it'll stop erosion over the winter, and it's reusable as well. Such a beautiful day. I'm just over on my wilder part of my plot, and I've just noticed that the borage is still blooming, little purple flowers. They taste like cucumbers. It's true. And just here, next to the borage, is the absolute last blueberry of the year. Just clinging on for dear life. I'm going to leave it. Hopefully some lucky little bird will find it in the next few days. The pond is looking very pond-like. Lots of scum at the top, and I think I will remove some of that just now, because on Valentine's Day is when I'll expect to see some frogs spawn on the pond. It happens pretty much every year. And we want to make sure that the water underneath is nice and clean, or at least swimmable for those little tadpoles. I won't do a full clean out, but I will take those leaves and the surface floating weed off the top. On that note, I got completely distracted from what I was about to do and instead tidied up the pond. Now, this time of the year, most of the leaves from the trees above have come down, and some of them will have made their way into the pond. And indeed they did, because I just pulled out a whole lot of weeds and leaves, and I put all of the algae at the side there. So there's lots of little aquatic snails and other creatures, no doubt. And so I've left that there so that they can crawl out and make their way back into the pond. While I'm doing some pruning for the winter, I'm going to trim down my lavender as well. The flowers are mainly spent, and so cutting them down will actually protect the plant over winter from wind blowing them around, and then next year they'll send up new flower spikes and bloom again. And it'll also look a lot tidier for the winter as well. What I'm doing is taking a handful of these stems and then looking to see where those leaves start to form there and making a cut right above there. And then the result looks a bit like this. So you can still see some of the stems poking out, but this is a quick job. If you wanted to do this in a much more designerly fashion and shape your lavender, you can do that right now too. Just make sure that you don't cut into the leaves and the growth more than a couple of inches, I would say, and definitely not into the older wood, just the green wood. Much better. The lavender has a haircut, and I'm able to tick another winter prep task off the list. Now, I don't think that I'm going to get to putting down wood chips on the paths today, but I will give the allotment a little bit of a tidy up, put stuff in the compost bin, and then head off home. Well, my pockets are filled with Brussels sprouts and I'm about to head home, but I wanted to stop over and check on my garlic. So I planted this about a month ago, and there are already some really strong green shoots in here. Now those 2 rows, those are the supermarket garlic that I planted. And actually my homegrown garlic hasn't yet started to put out leaves, but it is growing under there. It will pop up soon. So I'm really curious to see how this continues over the winter and what the harvest is going to be like next year. Now, I haven't gotten to my paths, as I've said, but I have a video sharing how I've created my paths and how I top them up. So head over there and check out that video if you are curious to know how all of that works. And then also, I have a video on how I created my pond as well. So if you're interested in creating your own pond this winter, it's a great time to do it. See how I did that. And that's been going for some years now, and it is my favorite part of the allotment here. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you get some sunny days like this in your own garden or allotment, and I'll catch you next week. Bye for now.